How you doing, guys? John here, aka MMA and Me. As promised when I started this up, I'm bringing you my breakdown of tonight's UFC event going down in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Like I said last week, there's an event on every weekend now up until December the 16th. So, like I said, you'll be seeing a lot more of me. As per last week, I'll give you my breakdown of the fights on the main card and then a couple of prelim fights that I'm looking forward to. Unfortunately, this week it's a bit of a later start. We were lucky, us European folk last week. We had the earliest start with it coming to us from Poland. But this week we're back to a late time. The main card kicks off at 2 a.m, so slightly earlier than usual. Usually we get the 3 a.m starts, but with 2 a.m this week. But got a really exciting fight card. Uh, Obviously, I'm pretty sure you're all aware of how it works. Watching it over here, especially in the UK, we watch it on BT Sport or UFC Fight Pass. Over in America, it's a bit different. They have like pay-per-view cards or free TV. They watch it on like Fox, things like that. This is for them free, like free to watch on TV card. This is a really good card on paper. So I'm sure they'll be loving it over there as well, not having to pay pay-per-view prices for it. Yes, I'll get cracking straight onto the main card. First up is John Lineker against Marlon Vera. John Lineker, he's probably one of the smallest guys in the bantamweight division at 5'2", moving up from the flyweight division. He struggled massively to make weight at in that division, but he has got hands of stone. He knocks guys out. He's a tough guy. He walks forward. He's not interested in playing it safe and going for decision wins. It's the first time we've seen him in a while. His last appearance in the octagon was against TJ Dillashaw. So top level competition. He lost that fight, but prior to that he beat John Dodson, who again is standout competitor in the lower weight classes, as well as KOing Michael McDonald in his fight before that. Again, a guy who's very high level. So you know what you're going to get with John Lineker. He's going to walk forward and he's going to throw bombs all fight. He's going to go for that knockout. He's looking for the end of your chin. So this should be an exciting fight. Marlon Vera, he's on a 3-fight win streak at the moment. He's doing well. Last before one fight, he fought against Brad Pickett in Manchester. I was lucky enough to be at that. I was gutted for Brad Pickett. 'Cause obviously, the UK crowd were egging him on, cheering him on, and I think that was a third round stoppage win for Vera. I think if that would have gone to judge's decision, Pickett had that fight. He took him down a few times, and he looked good. He looked strong, but unfortunately, his chin just couldn't hold out, and he lost via TKO following a head kick. I think it was that rocked him, and then he finished him on the ground. But yeah, he's on a 3-fight win streak, and he's a dangerous competitor. He's climbing up the bantamweight rankings, so this should be a good fight. I'm going with Vera on this one. I think the height and reach advantage. I think he'll pick Lineker off. You kind of know what you're getting with Lineker, stepping forward, throwing bombs. So I think he'll cut angles, and I think he'll just outstrike him, outpoint him, and get the decision win. Next up is middleweights Jack Hermansson against Thiago Santos. Hermansson's looked really good in his striking last couple of fights, winning both first round KO stoppages. Prior to that, he did lose to another Brazilian, Cesar Ferreira, by submission. But yeah, he's fought tough guys from the UK, Brad Scott and Scott Askham, and especially over his last two fights, he's really improved striking. Thiago Santos, he's a fearsome looking guy, big muscly middleweight. He's won his last two fights by stoppage as well, both coming in the second round. Beat another guy, strong Welsh guy, Jack Marshman, who's on the card on the prelims tonight as well. So you know he's going to put up. Marshman always puts up a good fight, so to beat him by KO as well, that was a good win. For this one, I think Thiago Santos on home soil is going to do it. I think it's just going to be too strong for Hermansson. I think it's going to be another second round stoppage win for Thiago Santos. Next up, we got Jim Miller against Francisco Trinaldo in the lightweight division. Jim Miller is super scrappy. He's been in the UFC forever. New Jersey boy. He loves to fight. He loves to scrap. He's got great submission skills. He's on a 2-fight losing streak, but he's lost against high level competition, Anthony Pettis and Dustin Poirier. But yeah, he's really hard to finish. You won't see many people finish this guy. But he's coming up against tough competition tonight in Francisco Trinaldo. He lost his last fight to Kevin Lee, who we know just fought for the title against Tony Ferguson. But prior to that, he was on a 7-fight win streak. I'm going with Trinaldo to win this one with the decision win. I don't think he'll stop Jim Miller because he's got a ton of heart, but I think he'll get the win. Next up, we've got another bantamweight clash, Rob Font against Pedro Munoz. Rob Font is another guy who's climbing the bantamweight rankings. He was meant to fight at UFC 204 in Manchester as well, and we had the privilege of sitting by him. He sat on our row because his fight got cancelled. He's won 4 of the last 5, all of those wins by stoppage as well, which obviously we know there's a lesser stoppage rate for the lower weight classes. So I've still got this cold from last week. Yeah, so that's really good going for him to stop 4 of his last 5 opponents. Just 1 loss in that streak, and that was against John Lineker. So again, he's only lost in his last 5 fights, just coming against tough competition. Pedro Munoz, a guy who's a bit of a guillotine choke expert. He stopped a lot of opponents via that choke, so that's something that Font will have to look out for. He's only lost 1 of his last 6, and that was against Jimmy Rivera, who again is very high level competition in the bantamweight division. So this should be a good fight. I think if it goes, I think it'll go the distance, and I think Rob Font's gonna pick him apart and get the win. I think the only worry that Font has to look out for is that guillotine choke if he goes for takedowns and things like that, leaving his neck exposed. Yeah, I'm going for Font to win this. I think it's going to be another entertaining scrap, and I think it's going to be a Rob Font win. Then we've got the co-main event. We've got Colby Covington against Damian Maia. Covington, I don't know if you guys follow him on Twitter, but this guy likes to talk a lot, and some of it is rather cringy. I don't know if you've noticed. Someone said the other day that Covington's got the worst trash talk since Ken Shamrock, which is pretty brutal, but I have to agree, it is pretty cringy. I mean, he was laying into the fight last week, Donald Cerrone against Darren Till, saying that he's far superior to these guys. He's got far more of a following, and people are far more interested in his fights, but I just don't think that's true. I think people are far more excited by Darren Till coming through the rankings than Covington. He's a strong wrestler. A lot of people do say that his style's a bit boring. He's a very strong, pin you to the ground kind of guy. He's on a 4-fight win streak. The last 2 I think have been by decision wins, and then prior to that 2 stoppages, first round stoppages. But yeah, I anticipate him again to utilise his wrestling, more his defensive wrestling this occasion. Against Damian Maia, he's fighting a guy who's, for me personally, is the best BJJ practitioner in the sport. It's a toss up for me between him and Verdun, but I think Maia edges it. The reason why is Verdun just like to mix it up sometimes with his strikes and things like that. He's quite a strong striker now as well, whereas Damian Maia, you know what he's going to do. He's going to try and take you down, and he's going to try and work that BJJ magic. Even top guys he's beat, like Gunnar Nelson, Carlos Condit, Neil Magny, Jorge Masvidal, and all these guys knew exactly what he was going to do. He wasn't going to stand and strike with them straight away. When he got the chance, he was going to get that takedown, hold them on the ground and wrap them up, and that's exactly what he did. He came unstuck against Woodley because he's a very strong wrestler himself. So I think that's where this is going to come into play today. I think Covington's going to use his defensive wrestling, keep it standing, and beat him in the stand-up war, unfortunately. So I think Covington's going to win. As much as I want Maia to win because he's a true legend in the sport, he's a gentleman. He's got a lot of respect for his opponents, none of this trash talk or anything like that with Damian Maia. As much as I want him to win, I think he'll lose. I think he'll lose either late stoppage, or again he'll lose on the judges' scorecards. Then next up we have the main event, which is Derek Brunson against Lyoto the Dragon Machida. Machida's returned after his suspension for testing positives for PEDs. He's another legend in the sport, and similar to Maia, he's a very respectful guy, very respectful fighter. Brought up with a traditional martial arts background. He's got his karate style. He likes to counter. He has lost 3 of his last 4 fights though, so I think he's coming towards the end of his career. He's 39 now, So yeah, his career is coming to an end. But those three losses have come against top competition. He's lost to Yama Romero, Luke Rockhold, Chris Weidman. I mean, that's the top end of the division. It should be interesting seeing how he'll fare coming back after his time out. But I'm personally hoping that Machida gets the win in this one. Derek Brunson, quite an interesting fact. This is his third consecutive fight now where he's fighting a competitor 39 years of age or older. He beat Dan Kelly in his last fight, the tough Australian. Prior to that, he lost to Anderson Silva, UFC 208 in Brooklyn. I was there for that one. Myself included, along with a lot of the crowd, thought that Brunson had won that one. Anderson got the nod from the judges' scorecards, but a lot of us thought that Brunson won that. Brunson himself campaigned quite vehemently that he won that fight and he should have got the decision victory. But yeah, prior to that as well, sorry, he lost to Robert Whittaker, who's now the interim champion as well. So he has fought some tough competition in Anderson Silva and Rob Whittaker, but I think he'll be too strong for Machida today. I think the new generation of fighters is coming through more so. 5-round fight as well because it's a main event. I think Brunson will edge this one, and I think he'll get the stoppage win. I think he'll get it in the third round. I think Machida again will come out with his karate style, trying to counter, but I think Brunson will suss him out pretty quickly. And I think he'll catch him and get the third round stoppage win. Sorry. So yes, that's how I see it going down tonight. A couple of fights I'm looking forward to on the prelims. Like I said earlier, Jack Marshman's fighting against Antonio Carlos Jr. That should be a good fight because Marshman's got that step forward style, likes to swing. He's been training at Jackson Wink over in Albuquerque, so he's been getting some of the best training around with lots of John Jones, Diego Sanchez, Holly Holm. So yeah, it's a great camp that he's been going out and training with. Vicente Luque against Nico Price as well. That should be a good fight. Luque is a good stand-up guy. He was on a good winning streak until he ran into my boy Rocky Edwards. And Leon got the business done there and got the win. But again, that should be an exciting fight. And also Hakran Diaz against Jared Flash Gordon. That'll be an exciting fight as well, I think. Flash Gordon looks a good young talent coming through in the division as well, so should be good. As always, let me know your thoughts. Let me know how you think it's going to go down. Make sure you check out next week. It's next week UFC 217 special. I'll be doing it from New York, so I'm lucky enough to be going out there and watching live in person at Madison Square Garden, so make sure you check it out next week. But yeah, enjoy the fights. I hope you stay up and watch it because I think it'll be a good card, and enjoy. Until next time, see ya.